Everybody, Elisa here with another Vera Bradley bag of the day. I know that on Friday I talked a bit about this bag, but it wasn't actually technically my bag of the day. So I did want to do another video about it because I did use it today as my bag of the day. And please give me more space. And I had a sort of a realization about the bag, but also I was thinking about it too because over the weekend, I used the larger version of this bag. This is the Iconic Small Vera Tote, and over the weekend I used the Iconic Vera Tote, which, is the larger, most people know is the larger version of this. And I thought I would just, compare them, wear them both, and see if I can get a good shot of it for people because I find that sometimes in the Facebook group that I'm in, the Vera Bradley Buzz, and also in this sort of Vera Bradley focus group that I'm in, sometimes there's talk about the bag sizes, in particular, not just about this bag, but certainly about this bag and the larger version of it. Because people are having sometimes a hard time judging the sizes of it when they order it online, even though the dimensions are given. It's hard to sort of visualize what that's going to look like against your body, and then people are a little taken aback sometimes by the largeness of the larger version. So I thought I would just sort of try to give people a comparison by putting them both on my body. Because the Vera Bradley website does have that figure who I call Silhouette Girl. But the bags are not always accurately sized against her body, and not everybody looks like Silhouette Girl, frankly. So she's not all that helpful. She's not superhero helpful. But before I talked about the proportions and shapes of the bag and what I get in the bag, I did have sort of a realization today when I was standing in the post office waiting online and looking at this pattern more. I'm going to try to get close to the camera to talk about this. But I'm going to see if I can change the angle a little bit. I think I realize why this pattern is so appealing to people, why some people are having a very strong reaction to this pattern and how pretty it is. And I think that it has to do with a little bit with color theory and these colors and the way they are placed on the color wheel. I don't know, for me, talking about the color wheel is kind of second nature because art is sort of my background. So just in case people aren't really familiar with the color wheel, I just thought I would talk about that a little bit as it relates to the color choices here. So it made me think that whoever designed this particular print, was a pro, really knew color theory and what he was doing, or he or she. I use that, just term generally. I don't want to offend anybody with a sex-specific pronoun. I'm sure, that's the case for whoever's designing. I'm sure they have, a stable of designers, and whoever, they all have a background in color theory. Obviously, they know what they're doing. They're pros. But this person who did this, it's very noticeable in this bag, which is not a bad thing. But it really jumped out at me in this particular bag. So I feel like I would go back now and look at the other fabrics a little more closely to see if you can, think about the colors in relation to the color wheel, because it's kind of interesting. So, typically when you see a color wheel, there are two common color wheels. There's the 6-color color wheel, and there's the 12-color color wheel. And you can have a color wheel that's even more complex and has even more colors. But those are the common ones that you'll see if you just Google like color wheel online or something. And if you look in any art history books, you usually see a 12-color color wheel, but sometimes you see a 6-color color wheel. For more advanced, art theory and color theory, you would maybe see something with more colors. But So if you have like a 6-color color wheel, that's made up of the primary and secondary colors, right? And the secondary colors are made by mixing 2 primary colors together, and then those secondary colors are situated in between the primary colors that made them. So if you mix yellow and red, the 2 primary colors, yellow and red, you get orange as a secondary color, and orange is situated between yellow and red in the color wheel. So when you get to a 12-color color wheel, that's when you're adding in the tertiary colors, and a tertiary color is made by mixing a primary color and the secondary color that's next to it on the color wheel, and then you get the tertiary color that sits in between that primary and secondary color. So if you were mixing yellow and orange, the primary and the secondary color, yellow and orange, you get the tertiary color, which is yellow-orange, yellow-orange. So if you mix all your tertiaries, then you get your 12-color color wheel. And I feel like, in addition to that, I should mention that colors that are next to each other, that fall next to each other on the color wheel, are called contiguous colors. And those colors tend to, be more analogous, meaning that they are, kind of harmonious and they work well together. They are very pleasing together. And that's what is happening in this. I'm trying to boost this up here close. That's what's happening in this pattern. You're seeing some colors that are contiguous on the color wheel. Like you've got the violets and the bluish greens going into these sort of red violets. And on the color wheel, the term is violet. They don't use purple, but, lay people would use purple. We all say purple, but I'm using the term violet because that's on the color wheel. So those are all analogous, contiguous colors, and that's why they work so nicely together. It's so harmonious. That's why this color scheme looks so luscious, because those colors really flatter each other. In addition to that, I think I can get a better, this is a good end to show you. There are tertiary colors here that are also complementary colors, and they're working together, and that's what's also helping this pattern. So this, for example, this yellow-green right here, that's a tertiary color, yellow-green. And so is red-violet, which is sort of like this. And those colors are complementary colors, meaning that they fall opposite each other on the color wheel. The colors that are complementary are complementary. I mean, that's what the term, how that term came about, right? They complement each other. They flatter each other. And when they're used in combination, it's very pleasing, and they can make each other more vibrant. And so I think, this whole color scheme just plays on those concepts of analogous and complementary with the tertiary colors and the contiguous colors. And then you get the red here, which is not, is not in that group. So it really pops. And in addition, where's that B? There, you get yellow, which really pops too, because if you look at a color wheel, those aren't really in that contiguous arc of the greenish blues and violets and violet reds. That's like a sweeping arc on the color wheel where they're all sort of related to each other. So I was standing there, in the post office, and I just looked at this and I thought, oh my God, look at that yellow green. And it's, why is it looking so good with the purple and the red violet? And that's when I said, wait a minute, I think those colors are opposite each other on the color wheel. This is how you think when you've grown up studying, studio art. This is how your mind works. So anyway, I just thought I would talk about that a little bit, because I think that's really what's happening here with this pattern, and why people are finding it so sort of yummy in a way. And the light just got a little gray. It's kind of weird light here today. It's like mostly cloudy with little breaks of sun, so I have the curtain wide open to try to get light in here, but it's not always good. But that's not a bad shot there, because you're not getting any harsh shadows. Here again, you see the yellow green, and this green here has a little bit of blue in it. Then you've got your red violet here. Also, up here in the center of this flower, there's touches of it, in the shading in other places. And that's, you would see that in painting. That's what artists do. They don't just plop one color somewhere and not use it anywhere else. They spread it around so that there's harmony all over, and it's pleasing to the eye. But anyway, then you've got the red pop there, you know, red popping there. And red and green are complementary colors as well, that meaning they fall opposite each other on the color wheel. So you've got that relationship going on there as well. So I just thought I would point, you know, just talk about that because I like, you know, I love color theory and that's what I grew up with. So, but I do think that's, like I said, that's what's working here with this pattern. And I think I would go back now and look at some of the other patterns with that eye, think about what they're doing that's making them so appealing. I mean, maybe they're not paying that close attention to it in every pattern, but in this pattern, someone was paying attention to that. And you can get a good look here at maybe better than in the other video that I did with that background is really a gray. It's not white, and so it's kind of toning everything down. Like I said in the other video, I think it would be a little harsher looking if the background were white. So that gray is in there, and it's like it's very pale gray, and then there's like a white cross hatching on it, very delicate, fine cross hatching on it. So it's like an added layer of complexity almost. So you can see I have, you know, got this filled up with all my stuff. And so here's how it looks on. This is a, you know, 12-inch strap drop. And here, let me get over here so people can see. Yeah, it looks really good, I think. I mean, you know, it looks good now that it's not so flat anymore. See that? I'll have to get better lighting on that side trim, but that trim is very pretty. And I am going to put my stuff in the large bag, and I'm going to talk about the dimensions, but this just gives you an idea. You can see now the difference in the strap drop and in the dimensions. I'll just stand on tiptoe here. I'm about 5'4", and I weigh anywhere, my weight fluctuates, but I tend to be between 120 and 130 pounds at any given time. Before I got married, I was always 120 pounds. But then I got married and I started eating like he eats, and that was the end of that. Anyway, so you can see how much bigger this one really is. And like I said, I'll measure it. But so at 5'4", this is what it's gonna look like, you know, and not stick thin, like the girls on the website that nobody looks like. So let me just show you what I've got in here, and then I can put it all in there, and you can sort of get another look at how it looks filled up. So in here, I do have a lot in here today, as you can see, and still have a little bit of room. I got my larger iPad in its sleeve. This sleeve is from that outlet. I find that I'm not crazy. I do have a couple of outlet bags. Dog hair. But I'm not so crazy about the outlet bags. But I do think, you know, for the patterns that I do like of the outlet patterns, it's nice to get them in the accessories. The outlet accessories are nice, and I was thinking about doing a video about them. Maybe I could do that tomorrow. I don't know. Anyway. Okay. Well, that's a little too. So this is 10 by 8.5. So the iPod that's in there is just a little bit smaller than that. It slipped right in there. GPS pouch that I always take. A smaller iPad. I know I measured this before. I never remember. 8 by 5, 5.5. And tissues and my iPod, phone, and wallet. Switch out my wallet again. I'm actually going to do a video about this. I might put it up after this video, maybe still today, because I did have a request from a viewer to ask if I could start reviewing wallets, and so I'm going to be doing that as well, because, you know, it's not like I don't have a lot of wallets. And so I do love this. This is the, what is this called? The accordion. I brought the tags out because I never remember the names of these things. And I do save all my tags and my receipts. So at some point I can calculate how much I've spent. Oh my God, on Vera. Okay, this is the Iconic RFID accordion wristlet, but I do think that on the website they may be calling it something else now, slightly different. I feel like they might have thrown the word double in there somewhere, because it does have a double gusset in there. So, it's a bigger gusset, so it opens wider, but I can talk about that in the other video. I do have this wallet wristlet, but I don't use it as a wristlet. So that was all in there very easily. I can't fit, this is my larger MacBook Pro, the original MacBook Pro, so this is heavy and big. And the diagonal dimension on this is 17. So it's 14 by 9.5. I'm pretty sure it's not going to fit here. It's tight. It might, I could probably force it in, but I don't want to do that. And of course I could go put it that way, but you know, then it sticks out. However, I mean, this thing is so big that I have a laptop sleeve, which I use for the smaller laptop, and the smaller laptop kind of swims around in this a bit. But this laptop, it will fit in here, but it's tight. So I don't tend not to put it in here. I mean, it looks, you know, looks like it's gonna, you know, fit in there, but it's really pushing it. However, this bag, you know, this really, it'll just slip right in here, whether it's in a case or not in a case, it will slip right in here. Let me just measure it before I pack this baby up. So this, if it's lying flat, is 19. Of course, when you put it on, you put stuff in it, you know, the sides come in more, so it's not 19 anymore. Maybe it's about 17. But, you know, when you think about the difference there, it's really something. You can see the difference there, both in the width and the height. So the height here is about 14. Yeah, 14. Ooh, my laundry's done. I don't know if people can hear that, the chimes. 11. So that's a big difference, right? 14 to 11 inches. That's a difference. The strap drop. So on the smaller one, it is 12. On this one, oh, look at that. It's also 12. That's interesting. Let's check that. Check that, because when I put them on, I felt like the strap drops look different. 12. Well, tape measure doesn't lie. Math does not lie. Okay. And so this bag, just like the smaller, the features are all the same. It's got that exterior, you know, slip pocket, goes down. Let's see. Yeah, all the way down to the bottom. This pattern, by the way, I mean, most people probably know, but it's Bordeaux Blooms, which is a current pattern, and I just love because of the dragonflies. I know I've talked about this in many of my videos, how I have a hard time resisting any pattern with critters. I call them critters, or other animals, but, you know, I'm trying to sort of get the insects in there by saying critters. Insects is such a unfun word. Anyway, so it's got that slip pocket, and then with the the zipper pocket. And you know, I've complained about this. I complain about this zipper all the time. So if a pocket has that zipper, it kind of doesn't exist for me. I rarely use it. It just sort of becomes invisible. It does have it's got that plastic zipper on the top, right? It's got the recessed plastic color coordinated zipper on top, so that's good. And it has that, easier to show this when it's closed. It has that hidden slip pocket, which is kind of neat. And inside it's got the 6 slip pockets, and they're pretty deep. Let's see. I know I talked about this test that I do with my iPad. Yeah, my iPad slips and fits right in there. And what did I say this iPad was? I don't remember. I think it was 8 inches. God, it's when you're getting old when your memory's gone. Yeah, 8 inches. Okay. So, and a soft base. And I think I did say in the both of them have a soft base. And in a previous video, I did mention that I didn't wash this large toe, but I have another one. And I washed it, and it was fine in the washing machine with all the zippers zipped, because that was a suggestion on the website. Okay, so you can see the big laptop just slides right in there. And the reason I'm going to pack it up is because I wanted to show the bottom of it. Since it is a soft bottom, people might be wondering, how does that hold up when it's really loaded up with stuff? I'll put the larger iPad back in, iPad mini back in, GPS pouch, wallet, tissues, because those are heavy, iPod, and phone. I mean, since I'm loading up a lot, I probably would use the slip pockets, but people I'm sure can tell, as I always say, from how I just throw stuff in. I don't always use even the slip pockets. It's a free-for-all in there. Okay. So, yeah, so it's holding up pretty good, It's still looking flat. It's not looking saggy. God, it's heavy. The laptop is heavy. Okay. Let's do another modeling because it's full now. So, now I'm surprised that these strap drops are the same. I mean, I feel like they don't look the same, right? I mean, it's not just me. I'm not crazy here. They don't look the same. But yet they're measuring the same. The strap drop is measuring the same. It's a mystery of the universe. So again, you can really see, right, how big. It's a big bag. And I do feel like I only use it when I know I've got a lot of stuff, because I feel like it looks a little lame, when it's not filled up. It's one of those bags, like I always say this in the Glenna tote, got to be filled up for me, I don't feel that way so much about the Hadley tote. I feel like you can get away with a lot in there, but you can also get away with not so much in there, and the bag still looks good. I just want to point out again the trim. It's nice when the bag makes use of that side trim. Not all the patterns do make use of a side trim element, so it's nice when that's there. I did also just want to, for comparison's sake, that's an okay shot. A little far away, but I think this bag's going to flop over because of that heavy laptop. This is the, gotta remember now, Iconic Deluxe Small Vera that I'm always raving about. I'm always raving about the Deluxe totes, the 2 Deluxe totes. And I just thought it would be interesting, there it goes, to see if they were the same. I was curious whether they're the same. They don't seem quite the same. See, the Deluxe in the back is a little taller. It looks like it's about 1 inch taller. Strap job looks the same, yeah. But the proportions of the Deluxe look just slightly different. Like this is just a little taller and narrower this way, and this one is a little wider east-west, but shorter north-south. Just for people who might be, see if you can really see it when they're flattened up again, which I hate to do. Pains me to flatten them. I spend so much time getting them to keep their shape, right? Yeah, but it's a little bit wider, and it's definitely taller. So for anyone who might, this is retired. They're not making the deluxe versions of the totes right now. I don't know if they are going to ever go back to that. I wish they would. And anyone who's watched my video about this one knows why I like it so much, especially the quilting stitching. But it does show up. This bag does show up sometimes in the online outlet sales. So, you know, if you wanted to keep an eye out for it, if you're interested in it. So it's comparable to this size, just with a little tweaking, a little bit different, just here and there. But if, you know, perhaps this video will give you an idea, you know, of how this would look on your body, you know. So you know, you really could see the difference between the small and the large, the gigantic large one here. I feel like they really could stand to make a medium, and I'm not the, you know, I'm not the only one who's said this. I mean, in the Buzz group, in the Vera Bradley Buzz group, people are always saying that, and I do think it would. I behoove them to do it. I feel like now that they've gotten rid of the Hadley, I know they've introduced these Carson totes, but they're really not doing it for me. So I think they could stand to introduce a couple more tote styles back into their line. They certainly have enough backpacks. So for those of us, you know, who don't really use the backpacks and prefer the tote bags and shoulder bags, you know, they could do that. Anyway, so this is Lavender Meadow. I probably forgot to say that, but I'll put it in the description, you know. It's the Lavender Meadow that just came out, and I just think it's really lovely. I mean, I could see myself definitely getting more in this. It's hard to resist, and like I said, I think that's because of the color theory behind this palette. So anyway, that was my bag of the day, and I'll probably do a wallet in a minute or two and just throw it up there. Then I gotta get to work. But thank you for watching. Here's one more view. Thank you for watching.